Good evening. I'm Edie Nathan, psychotherapist, grief doula, speaker, workshop leader, and my focus is always around grief, loss, and trauma. And we are in this together for sure. All around us, people are shutting down, and there are some states that are actually beginning to open up. It's hard to imagine that there's going to be some places that are open and some places and states that are closed. And it does create an imbalance and maybe a dream, a wish that, oh, I wish I could live in Georgia. But I wonder, do you really? What if Georgia opening is just a little bit too soon? And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I'd also love to share tonight, Friday night, the idea that we have an opportunity here to learn so much. We have an opportunity to do things different because what we've known, we keep saying, oh, we're going to go back. But what are we going back to? This is an opportunity to have our lessons, to learn, to do things differently, to live our lives maybe a little bit differently, to have connection, to make time for friends and family instead of being in the space of, I'm way, way, way too busy. Too busy. What is it to be too busy? Is it a way of being, that being of busy? This is an opportunity for us to really summon the best parts of us, learn how to be kind, learn how to be generous, learn to care for our fellow human. And there's such a discrepancy, not only now with states that are opening and states that will remain closed to serve as a protection. There's a discrepancy in terms of the people who are getting sick and how they are cared for, and people who are getting fed and how they are cared for, and people who have lost jobs and how they are being cared for. And if you lost a job and you have family and friends and you have some money to back you up, that's great. But there are folks out there who don't have that kind of backing. And if kindness is part of this new opening up, if being aware of more than just your small group of friends and family, if you can start to expand out, because this is an opportunity for expansion. This is an opportunity to be so much more than you already are. And yeah, is it a hard time? It certainly is. And tonight, this topic is dear to me because I don't know if any of you have heard about this American Airlines flight from Miami to New York, LaGuardia Airport. It happened on Wednesday, actually. And this woman, I'm not going to mention her name, you can look up the flight and all of the information. But this American Airlines flight left from Miami. The flight was completely full. People were sitting next to one another, many of whom were not wearing masks, nor was it mandated. And there were people on this flight who had masks, who had gloves, who wore hazmat uniforms. And then there were folks who didn't, and they weren't stopped. And they were still on a flight, packed in like sardines. There was no social distancing. There was no honor or respect for the people who paid good money to be on a flight. And because money needed to be earned or made for that one flight, these people's lives were put into danger, a danger zone, an incubator. Temperatures were not taken before people got onto this flight. And we're supposed to be different. We're supposed to be learning from this and be change agents and be kinder to one another and help one another. People shouldn't have gotten on that flight. But that's not on them. That's on our larger companies such as American Airlines. When do we get protected by the very companies that we pay to make sure that we land safely? But how about landing safely with a smaller chance of becoming infected? And this flight speaks volumes around what we haven't learned. What isn't being held as sacred, like life, like humanity, and instead just put into an incubator that will take you from point A to point B, needing to get to New York. Why not have 2 or 3 flights? You've already lost money. So that people could have that social distancing. So that the staff on that flight could be safe. And they're flying because they need money, of course. And I feel sad. And the conversation has been around grief and loss, and it makes the grief within me so powerful. And that's what it maybe means to do things differently. Like, what have we learned? Maybe we need to have more space on flights. Maybe being cramped is not the way to go. Maybe when we go out to restaurants, it's not about how many people you can fit in to one space so you can barely move or navigate. Maybe it's about finding a healthy distance, not a social distancing distance, but a distance where you can breathe and look around and take in all that is good about this earth, all that is good about our communities. So if you're listening to this and you have a voice, then shout out with your kindness, with your care, with your concern for those who have less than you. And let's make this time, this unusual, once in a century, once in a lifetime experience, let's make it count. Let's make a difference. The time is now to make a difference with the self, to make a difference for future generations. Because you've got this and you have a voice. And you've had the power all along in so many ways. And I believe in you. I believe in us. I believe in the power of we. And you don't need to do it alone. So if this made some difference for you, or if it made you think, please share it. Please visit me on my website, edienathan.com. If you do, and if you sign up for my newsletter, guess what? I'll send you a chapter of the book. It's Grief, the Dance of Self-Discovery. Self-discovery through trauma and loss. Self-discovery through COVID-19. Contact 3 people. Tell them something you feel honored to have achieved. Share a funny story. And tell them something that may scare you today. It's okay. Thank you. Have a great night. And pay what you learn forward. Be safe.